that there's another element to the youth in America, that they are not the silent majority, they're the silenced majority. The cameras haven't been on them, and they are the majority of young people in this country that are great and wonderful. They're not on drugs. They're not looking to drugs and to all of these other things to satisfy and to find fulfillment. They're finding their fulfillment in Jesus Christ.
This will be the most remarkable training program and time of challenge and inspiration of its kind in history.
Getting down to the serious business of the First International Student Congress on Evangelism, there was the practical business of finding a place to sleep. The Mason-Dixon Delegation, between 11 and 1,200 delegates, appeared to have the charter bus market cornered as they arrived from the east to the outskirts of Dallas to check in. It was a long trip for these pilgrims and an exciting experience, getting to meet so many other young people who came so far to learn how to share Jesus.
There's more people in this hotel than my hometown.
What is your hometown?
Gordo, Alabama.
Well, welcome to Dallas.
Thank you.
The line for the registration desk at this Holiday Inn extended down the hall and out the back door, and the temperature was in the upper 90s. But there were few complaints, at least not from the manager.
It's lovely. It's just divine. Thank you.
Is this confusion going to be a problem for your
No, I
motel?
don't think so. It's a case that we're a clearinghouse for about 3,000 of the delegates from the Mason-Dixon group, and we'll actually house about 400, but until we get them all straightened out and get them over to their other hotels, we're in good shape.
Delegates will spend many hours in the next 5 days learning the technique of witnessing faith in Christ. But the first immediate reward for the long trip and registration lines, the cooling waters of the motel pool. This is Judi Hanna, Channel 8 News on the Move.
All day long they came, most in cars, some in buses, and a few on motorbikes. Their goal was Market Hall near downtown Dallas, the registration point for EXPLO 72. They came from everywhere, from all 50 states and from many foreign countries, and the mode of dress of some of them was the kind of appearance that the more conservative citizens of Dallas would find objectionable. But the chief spokesman for EXPLO 72 say these young people as a group will be different from those who have turned out for some other youth festivals.
72 will go a message to the whole world.
By the time EXPLO 72 ends on Saturday, 100,000 young people are expected to have converged on Dallas. And organizers for EXPLO admit that with a crowd that large, there almost certainly will be some undesirables. But the difference between EXPLO 72 and most other youth festivals already is apparent. Young people spending their idle moments reading the Bible. Jack Hill, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Well, you know, our division, the Eastern Division of the American League, is just kind of sitting there right at the moment, and we're looking for one team to get hot, and of course we're hoping it's going to be us. And I got off to one of the slower starts of my career this year, and the last 4 or 5 days I've been hitting fairly well, and wasn't hitting that too bad, you know, up until then, but they seemed like they were catching them. I wasn't finding too many holes, but we've had some guys that weren't hitting on our club, so as soon as everybody starts hitting and our pitching comes around, we should start winning a few ball games.
Hey, do you think that the delay in getting the season on the way kind of hurt you as far as batting goes?
Well, I have to truthfully say that towards the latter part of spring training, I was starting to get my eye on the ball, was hitting the ball real well, and of course we laid off a couple of weeks, and when I came back, it just seemed like it was kind of getting back into shape, like going back into spring training again. I think it kind of hurt me a little bit.
Okay, like the way you're hitting the ball right now, are you pleased at this point in the season the way you're making contact with the ball?
Well, right now I'm pleased with my hitting. 4 days ago I was hitting 206, and now I'm hitting 275, so I got to be pretty well pleased. And I've been hitting the ball, even the balls that I'm hitting that they're catching, I'm hitting them hard, so that's a good sign.
These wild wiggly creatures are human sperm. They're active now, but shortly they'll be frozen for storage in Dallas's new frozen sperm bank. Here a nurse evaluates the semen samples brought in by men who want to save their sperm for artificial insemination later. The sperm are frozen in an icebox, then stored in a tank of liquid nitrogen. The cost is $80 per year. Director Dr. Donald Logan says the bank is used mostly by infertile couples who want children, vasectomy patients, and other men who fear becoming sterile.
Is a frozen sperm later used as good or has as good a quality as one in natural circumstances?
No, not really. Under totally equal circumstances, a man's fresh sperm is more likely to achieve pregnancy than his frozen stored sperm, but basically a very good quality semen will survive storage and freezing to the point that it can be anticipated with a reasonable percent of accuracy that it will subsequently give fertilization.
This frozen sperm bank offers a chance of pregnancy to infertile couples and a safeguard to men who are undergoing risky operations. But doctors also speculate that in the future, with more research, a combination of frozen sperm and vasectomies could be used as a means of reversible birth control for men. Martha McIntire, Channel 8 News on the Move.
About 40 Dallas-Fort Worth area residents made a trip Friday to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, as guests of the Army. They joined several thousand other persons who turned out to see the firepower demonstration at Fort Sill, home of the Army's artillery school. On display, some of the Army's newest concepts in artillery support, like the helicopter, which has been developed into a flying arsenal to meet the requirements of Vietnam. Although most of the attention was focused on the explosions downrange, a more significant story involved the soldiers themselves and the changes the Army has made to make the military service more attractive for them, more pay, for example. Also, these men no longer are tied up with many of the extra duties so familiar to the millions before them. KP has been eliminated, and civilian crews are responsible for much of the former work details. So these soldiers now can spend most of their time with strictly military duties.
Well, first of all, Jerry, we think we're going to have a good club this coming season. It'll be a more defensive team as far as Bobby Crom's thoughts are concerned. For example, we have most of our defensemen coming back. Roger Wilson, Mike Baumgartner, and Len Frigg, possibly John Marks if he's not in Chicago. And we have a couple coming up. One, Phil Russell, our top draft choice, who is big. He's as tough as Frigg and probably likes to fight just as well, if not better. We feel that we've got Dan Spring and Dave Crisco, who are choices last year, coming back for another season. They're already signed. Don Gordon, and there's a possibility we have a couple of more. We carried 22 players at the start of last season, and Bruce Bullock, our third goaltender, went out to the West, and then we carried 21 most of the season. Bobby Crom doesn't plan to carry that many players. He doesn't feel that we have to, and I'd say we stand a pretty good chance of getting most of our players back with the addition of 3 or 4 good ones from our draft and who played in Flint last year.
For the civilians that have never seen them before, demonstrations like this are probably worth a trip from Dallas. But for the soldiers that fire the mission, all this is routine. They've done it many times before. What's more important to these men are the changes taking place in the Army. changes which are designed to make the Army an all-volunteer force by next year. Jack Hill, Channel 8 News on the Move at Fort Sill, Oklahoma.